I wanted to buy some cheap desktop speaker alternatives for my work desk as I wanted to see what's up with a cheaper speaker market. I tested a few and none of them grabbed me enough to make a review. They were all okay, some were good, some were better, some were worse, I don't know. For someone that hunts for cheap speakers in this price range, they would be probably enough. But my audiophile heart wanted a speakers that at least sounded a little bit hi-fi, so I could say, well, those are some great speakers in this price range. And I did find an amazing choice that is cheap, has a very compact footprint, and yet sounds great. Of course, you clicked on this title of this video and you know what speakers I'm speaking about. It's the Edifier M60. These are desktop speakers with a 24-bit DAC integrated that will satisfy every budget-conscious audio lovers. They are equipped with so much talent inside. You have Class D Texas Instruments amplification inside with 66 watts, which allows these speakers to have a deep bass and volume in sound. That is of course helped by 1-inch silk dome tweeters and 3-inch mid-low drivers, which again, with their 3-inch mid-low drivers, it is exceptional in this price range. There is full digital signal processing with a 2-way active crossover and DRC with 24-bit 96 kHz digital analog processing. This means that streaming quality files significantly improves the sound with these speakers. Connectivity is okay. You have 3 ways to connect your speakers to a source: via Bluetooth, via AUX, and USB-C. For most, this is great, but I wish there was an optical or coaxial input that will help with a larger variety of hi-fi gear. One interesting thing, which I think is great and not so great, is that you connect the speakers with a DIN cable. DIN cables are great and offers a big bandwidth, but then again, I see a lot of people complain that they cannot connect the speakers together via Bluetooth for more convenience. Of course, the audio quality degrades that way, but it would be a good if it had such a versatility that you can choose like cables or Bluetooth connection between speakers. And while we are on the subject of Bluetooth, it is not aptX but LDAC. Whether that is a good or bad choice, I don't know, but Edifier claims that LDAC allows, when streamed from an Android device, to preserve the quality of the file with a minimal loss. That is a big claim, and I can tell you that it sounds great via Bluetooth. But personally, I rarely listen to music that way, so I could not give you more as I have not spent more time testing it via Bluetooth. You also get speaker stands, which again adds so much value, and a companion application. Both of them are awesome, but I will speak more about them in the review later. The thing is that I don't like the top-mounted touch panel. It is a nice visual touch. You turn the speakers on and off, you can change the source and adjust the volume. But I'm a bit old school and still prefer physical buttons, or at least a remote. Somehow, when I get used to the physical layout and haptic feeling of physical buttons, I interact with the device more easily. I had no practicality with this. I always had to look directly at the speakers to know what I was clicking, and having no feedback is a bit awkward. It would help to have a remote, but application does everything remote would. But then again, you have to have your mobile with you all the times for that to work. One thing I really missed, and that is sub out. I think if it had sub out, it would bring more versatility to these speakers. Before going into sound quality, I want quickly to go through two cheap ways that you can massively improve your sound. First, the AUX and the RCA cables you get with these speakers are super cheap. They are there so you will be able to connect right away and enjoy your music. But buying better cables could unlock your music so much more, especially if you stream and listen to those more quality files. There are cables up to like 20 euros from the likes of CADS or AudioQuest, which will unlock your speakers like you would not believe it. It is a simple thing and it works great. The other thing is sound isolator buffers. You can get them for like 10 to 30 euros on Amazon. For me, this was necessary, but it will depend on the situation. While they have nice build quality, actually amazing build quality with how they look, how they feel, it is that when you have a small box and a bigger bass reflex, it cannot contain vibrations so well. It does shake a little bit, and in the process it does create a bigger, unfocused bass if the surface reflects that sound. So it did rumble at my desk a bit, and especially when they are on the stands you get with these speakers. And bass fires directly at the table when they stand on the stands. The bass was bouncy, unfocused, and too big, covering so many frequencies that it made the sound a little bit muddy. I had a bunch of problems with that. Of course, this all depends on your table, or are they on a stand or a shelf, etc. This is my personal problem. Maybe you will not have this problem. But I had that problem, and those small absorbers on which you can put the speakers on helped so much by making the sound more clear. But the reason why the title of this video goes like the way it goes is exactly because of this, the sound quality. These speakers are so close to being high fidelity speakers that it is almost incredible to how much they cost. Stop there, you audiophile snob. What are these high fidelity speakers you speak about? Well, I don't have a great answer here, but this is how I perceive all that situation. If speakers allow me to hear individual layers and instruments on a soundstage, like so much clearer and so much more precise and vivid that I can almost like see them, if it can take high fidelity files and make them more clear and open to me, that is HIFI. And HIFI is always about separation and liberation of instruments on a soundstage. That's rather than like one big wavelength of sound. And these speakers do provide that. Its separation on the frequency scale is really great. I could definitely see and hear percussions in treble being nicely separated by the tweeter. Each kick, synth, and voice have their lane. The details and textures are all there. While not the most impressive, it did play with the notion of having some details to explain the production and the properties of sound. Also, imaging or placing vocals on the center of the soundstage was good. I tend to separate them 1 meter between them and tote them in a little bit for best results. And all of that as these speakers are nicely clean and organized. And this can be even more improved if you add some decent DAC into this story. The inside DAC is good for what it is. It helps with a better files to make your speakers sound even better. But as much better, the external DAC will do that 2-3 times better into spreading your speakers in more directions. I think I can add a lot of praise for that is that it truly compactualizes music in different sectors, leaving room for breadth and transparency. And that clarity is mighty thing, more mighty than more decibels in bass or treble, as it helps you appreciate and follow instruments and vocals on soundstage far more better. And bass. Well, this will not be your 2.1 system quality and reach of bass. What inner bass ports do for the sound here is great. Bass is full and detailed. It gives music more of a pulsing ability, great for listening to rock or any music that requires that drive and agility. It complements the sound all around, even though sometimes it might be a bit too much. And good thing about that is that there is an Edifier application that allows you to equalize everything you do not like about the sound in -3 to +3 decibels. So if you think the bass needs more control, as I do, just remove a few decibels from it to get a more balanced sound, the one I personally like more. Now for alternatives. I don't know any speakers in this exact price range that are as good as this, but there are two which are a bit more expensive that we can talk about in comparison. And those two are Audioengine A2 Plus and Kanto YU2. Both of them are around 150 euros more expensive, and let's talk about what you get and what not with adding more money. This is and has been my desktop speakers for a long time. It has this small footprint, which I like as my table is small, so something like A5 Plus is a bit too much to me. Now, would I buy Audioengine A2 Plus now, today? Probably not, because I think there are some other alternatives which cost as much that maybe offers a little bit more. But if you can find them on some discounts, that's amazing. You definitely should look at them because they do offer a lot, even though they are a faulty speakers, and I'll speak more about that later. There are 2 points that you get with Audioengine which will dictate if an additional 150 is worth it. You get a bit better DAC, which is just a bit better in organizing stuff on a soundstage, adding a bit more height and width in space, and more insight in those bass and treble, which means more details in bass and treble. Now, this is important. While I think it is not like a sun and moon in differences. It adds more. It is a better sonic quality, but not 150 euros difference. It is just you get a more mature and a better sound with Audioengine. But there is one big problem with Audioengine. It is a speaker that time has run over. It is a 33 watts Class AB drivers inside that shows its teeth when you put it in a more strenuous, harder situations. If you use it as a near-field speakers with a decent current and signal, they do fine. In all other scenarios, it quickly jumps from Class A, which is great, to Class B, which is not so good. And if you are streaming from TV, which signal is always a bit lower and you need a certain volume to cover that up, like to add more volume, some significant distortion will appear quickly. And degradation in sound quality will also appear. And for many people, they heard that and they really don't like that. This is something to be wary of. I like them only as a near-field desktop speakers that are close to you. All other scenarios are off the table with these speakers, as the amp inside them is not that good and it's just not made for any other scenarios because it will add a lot more degradation. The Kanto YU is really good. You can pick YU or YU2, but I will focus on YU1. It is an incredible 150 watts Class D amp inside. It is a better sounding speaker all around, like everything is better sonically in Kanto. Maybe they're a bit bigger, so something like YU2 might be more for you, but you truly get more sonic quality in every facet. From treble, mids and bass, there is a bit more push, energy and details. But also you get sub-out to improve the bass with addition of a subwoofer. You get speaker line in to add additional amplification if you want. And you get typical RCA and Bluetooth. Always see these speakers as modular ones, as you can add a DAC, amp or subwoofer to enhance the experience, which is something that holds a lot of value in itself. After the Edifier, I think the U and U2 holds a great value, but you have to add an additional 150 euros, and for some, Edifier will do a great job, so they will have no need to upgrade or add more money. So if you want to know, there is one desktop speaker that I think is at the peak of quality and value, and that is ROARC MR1 MK3. It is a 300 euros more expensive speakers, but trust me, it is a great hi-fi desktop speaker that just sounds amazing and has a small footprint. Another choice would be Q Acoustics M20, which are also a great choice and have this super amazing bass for the desktop speakers. You will be in love with it when you hear it, but also is more expensive than Edifier, like 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. And of course, now legendary KEF LSX2, but that one is almost 10 times the price of Edifier, so they are really pretty, they sound great, but would you need that much to give money for a desktop speaker? That will be on you. It is a 100 euro speaker that delivers an impossible value. It has a great quality sound, great materials. The quality and looks of it is just great. It has a decent app with equalizations. Honestly, I don't know what more to ask. It over-delivers in its price range, and I don't know if there is really a person that I cannot recommend this to. They are also a small and will fit your table really easily. I miss a bit more flexibility in inputs and outputs like sub-out, coaxial and optical, etc. But what you lose there, you get in a great sonic quality, and isn't that like the most important thing? So in reality, this might be a perfect speakers in this price range. It has its some flaws, it has some lacking here and there, but what more would you want for 100 euros? And it just over delivers so much that I truly recommend this speaker so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and enjoy your life. Keep daydreaming and see you on the next video. Bye!